Alrighty. Welcome back to the Black Cinema Experience podcast. It's me, your boy, your favorite, Cameron. Also, Cam Bam 2013. That's a long story.
Okay, and it's your girl JB, and we are back, y'all. We are back, y'all. We are biggity back, y'all.
Back. No, we are so glad to have you all listening, and we're excited to bring to you an amazing movie. It's called Judas and the Black Messiah. Directed by Shaka King. We have some heavy hitters in here. We have Daniel Kaluuya, I believe it is. I always want to say Daniel Kaluuya, as in like the alcohol, but we know that's not it. So don't judge me. And if I'm saying it wrong, please forgive me. Have some patience. We also have Lakeith Stanfield. We have Dominique Thorne, and we have Dominique Fishback. So we have some heavy hitters.
Fishback. I really like her. She's really making a lot of noise on the acting scene right now.
She is. Yeah. And she's gorgeous.
Yeah, she
gorgeous,
is.
Gorgeous girl. So, not girl, woman. Sorry.
Yeah, lady.
Lady.
But we don't really age.
You do not. Alrighty. This was also produced by Warner Brothers. So it's a blockbuster movie, in my opinion. Again. So we're excited to bring this movie to you. It's I want to kind of go over how deep this movie can be. I feel like we've done comedy in the past, and again, I want you still to enjoy yourself, but I want you to be aware that a part of the experience is tackling tough conversations, deep conversations, and sometimes pain. So I want to make sure you all know that it's just a little disclaimer that there are some tough topics in here. So just be advised, but we're still going to have fun.
Yeah, the tough topic is police murder, okay? And brutality against the Black community. There's a ton of tough topics like betrayal within the community. You know, the whole crab in the bucket type mindset that was even showing up when they were first trying to, break ground with the other people. So there's a lot to discuss in this one. There are some sensitive points. Of course, anything with murder is going to be sensitive. But this is also based on a true story. Yeah. So obviously,
Well, that's what makes it hard for me.
That's what
makes
it hard.
This is real life. This isn't some Marvel movie. We love Marvel, but this is not some fake tragedy. This is real life.
Right.
So did you want us to, I would like to start with the actual movie before diving into like the reality of it.
All right.
So again, beautifully shot. Again, directed by Shaka King, also produced by Ryan Coogler. Shout out to Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler.
But
that's the Black Panther man, y'all.
It's like Black Panther. No, but it's such a beautifully shot movie. We were talking about some of the shots earlier, like some of the outside shots at nighttime. So showing Black people in dark light.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how, we never really get to see Black skin outside because people tend to think it's not favorable light or it doesn't look as good. But we all know that's BS, and we know we look good in any light. But it was good to see like those raw scenes and see like that kind of overcast film that they use during the filming, which I felt like added a really dramatic effect to how it looked overall.
Yeah, there's definitely something about these new cinematographers that are capturing Black people in a different light. I first started really seeing the differences like in movies like Moonlight and things like that. Absolutely. Where you were actually seeing dark-skinned people in different light. But this is definitely another one of those films where we get to see Black people in their natural state instead of always putting harsh light on them to make them look lighter and things like that. Things that we don't maybe necessarily pay attention to.
Exactly.
But it's been happening for years. We've always been trying to put Black people in these like lighting situations where they look lighter than they actually are. So
cloudy makeup.
Yeah, exactly.
Weird
and
colors.
It's great to see Black people look like Black people in a film. And that's another reason why I think it's so beautiful, because we look blackity black as fuck in this film. Yeah.
And I mean, it must be the magic of Hollywood, but I always get jealous of like how clear everybody's skin is.
Right, yeah, no, that's camera magic. Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But focusing more on the movie, a big topic we like to talk about is Black love, which this movie does portray, and I feel very, very well to see Black love in a non-toxic way between the two, between Fred Hampton and Deborah. I believe her name now is Akua Njeri is her name that she chose for herself. So I want to honor that and make sure, again, if I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. I'm working on it. But I feel like it was so beautiful to see like actual Black love portrayed in a non-toxic way.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, because he was considered to be a chairman, which is like, obviously one of the head, like, at the top of the hierarchy. But I feel like he never made, from what we see, again, I don't know, I haven't read the biography.
Here's my question.
He never made her feel subservient.
Okay, so is that why it was a non-toxic love? Because he never made her feel subservient?
I feel like yes, because I feel like usually people see it as one person has to be the leader of this relationship, another person has to be the submissive one. And I feel like you can be submissive, which is nothing wrong being submissive, but I feel like to be considered a supporter, or consider somebody that's
Cameron,
equal with you.
I have to just interject here. Maybe it wasn't toxic. Okay. Maybe the relationship itself wasn't toxic, but we're talking about two unmarried kids in a relationship, and he is a leader of his community, so he basically knows the power of marriage. And I think there's something, like, I get it. It wasn't toxic, but it wasn't a great relationship standard either. Just because he wasn't disrespecting her.
Because they weren't married?
I'm glad that she wasn't subservient, but yeah, because they weren't married. Yes. Yes. They were having a baby. That was like, they never even talked about it. Well, she was his girlfriend.
Yeah, but my thing is, we know obviously this was his lover, obviously somebody that he really cared for. Everybody had respect for her, and I know for a lot of Black people, especially like with the foundation or the idea of marriage, they don't think that's like the way you're technically quote unquote married, because you go the legal route. Now, I disagree with that just personally, because I think you should do it legally, spiritually, emotionally. It should be all of those things. But I feel like if that's your preference, if that's what you believe, like, I don't feel like she had any anticipations of him being with anybody else. I feel like she knew she was that girl.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm just saying that it's interesting that a community leader wouldn't be married. Like, you are the leader of your people, and you're not encouraging other men around you to get married. You are bringing in unwed.
That's a good point.
Babies outside of wedlock. Sorry.
I actually didn't pick that up, because I definitely understand that the baby's out of wedlock. I will go on the record and say, growing up with a single mother, being the oldest of 4 boys, so I understand.
It's just interesting his approach that he took to healing a Black community. Again, we honor Fred Hampton and everything that he did. I'm just saying that it's interesting. This is the Black community we're talking about, and we wonder why we have so many structural problems.
Well, my thing is also, the thing is different, because he wasn't planning on being in the home, which I understand, like, it wasn't like a legal, ramifications of him not being there. But I think it's different, because usually it's like, oh, we're not planning on staying together, but he was planning on, raising his family, because even at the end, and this could have been, movie play, but he was talking about having another child when he got out of prison.
Yeah.
So I do think it's a little bit different in aspect. It was like, as far as his intentions, but then again, they were literally like 21, and like, I think she was like 19. So
they were babies, like you were saying, but at that time, though, that was grown, though, at that time.
That was grown at the time, but was it? I mean, was it really?
It's not. You know what? It's honestly not that important. I'm just saying. I think it's interesting that he was a community leader, and was not married. I'm saying structurally, as Black people, we have a tendency to put things like that on the back burner, and it's one of the reasons why other races attain wealth, because marriage or partnership. This Black Panther Party was uplifting all these Black people, and I'm not saying that he didn't believe in marriage. I'm just pointing out that he wasn't married. Yeah. It doesn't even matter.
But no, I'm glad you pointed that out, because I did not think of that at all. Like, I'm over here like gooped. Like, you got me on that one. Like, I was like, she talking about marriage. I'm thinking this is a good relationship, and then you over here swooping like, there's one little.
I'm just saying, as a community,
True.
What if we had a different set of values that we were pushing forward for our people?
Like, I'm pledging my love, like, you're mine, I'm yours, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like we were already settling in the 80s. 70s, 60s. Oh,
I know.
Okay, enough of that. Go ahead.
But again, I do appreciate that I felt like it was a strong relationship.
Yes.
Although it was not a marital one. But another aspect I think they played very well is because the name of the movie is Judas and the Black Messiah. So we know we all obviously have a reference to Jesus.
That's
and
right.
Judas.
Break down the Bible. Let's go.
Exactly. And so I feel like I was nervous at first to watch this movie, because I was like, Lord, I don't want no blasphemy up in here. I'm not trying to do none of that. But I feel like again, there was no blasphemy. So anybody out there who's of faith, there was no blasphemy of any religions. So any faith, any religion can watch this movie. Except there's some language, but we know you can get past that. But when it comes to like the parallels of Jesus and Fred Hampton being Jesus and Bill O'Neill being Judas, I feel like it was a really good parallel because it's so indicative of like that ultimate betrayal. Like this was a genius. He's 21 years old, like a real revolutionary. He's feeding they're feeding thousands of kids. Yeah. He's talking about building medical clinics in the west side of Chicago. Yeah. Like doing things people have not done in this community, and we have somebody that essentially gets this man killed.
Also, the parallel between the Messiah and God, God being this person who was innocent, not deserving of the punishment he received.
Go ahead.
And the Black Messiah having that same thing, right? 2 bullets to the head, sleeping. They had to take him down in the worst way possible. And it's the same thing where it's like God was innocent. He wasn't doing anything wrong. But they were like, we don't like him, crucify him. Same thing. So, and
doing too much good.
You're doing too much good. We don't want that. And then, of course, the Judas part, when we all grew up with that story, knowing who Judas was, exactly. And who betrayed God. So it's like, wonderful play on the title. I thought that was a powerful title.
And he did kill himself. I'm sorry. Well, unalive themselves. I don't mean to be insensitive, but he did, commit suicide, and that's also a parallel to the Bible. As far as like that guilt, knowing what you've done, it always gets to you.
Yeah, it's too much. Yeah.
That's crazy. You really got it. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. But I know the idea is talked about a lot as far as Black liberation. So when I think about Black liberation, I think about the term, or I think about the saying when people say when Black people are liberated, everybody's liberated. Like, do you agree with that sentiment, that statement?
100,000%.
Everybody's liberated.
Yeah, because Black people ain't never oppressed nobody. We're not walking around here trying to make all these other cultures be beneath us. If anything, all the Black people I know appreciate other cultures. Yeah. I met a Black man yesterday that said, "My favorite food is Mexican food. I won't even eat anything else." And it's like, really, nigga? Really? But we really get into other cultures. Yeah. Like, we really get into sushi and ramen, and we really get into just listening to other cultures, their music, their essence. Black people, we educate ourselves by other people. We go to a Spanish place, we speak Spanish. We'll joke around in Spanish. We all know a little bit of something. We are cultured, and it's because we didn't have that luxury of being biased against people. We didn't have that much power to be like, I'm not going to be nice to this other. There was no reason for that. People already, like, you know what I'm saying? We weren't afforded that luxury to be biased. I'll leave it there.
Well, I agree. I mean, we know there are always people who are going to be just haters. Like there are Black people who've hurt white people.
For sure.
We're not saying that that's never happened. We will say the overwhelming majority of the time,
we accept others.
People always find a way to incorporate you in the culture.
Right.
Like, you
ever go to a party with all Black people and a white person there?
They're like, oh, hey, go white boy.
Go white boy. Go everybody. It doesn't matter. And I don't care if we're young or old. It's going to happen until the end of time.
So, speaking of Black liberation, do you feel like that's a problem? Should Black people focus on themselves and say, hey, we need to be liberated. We need to focus on us, and then everybody else can get the liberation? Because if Black people are liberated, then everybody's liberated. Or do you feel like it's okay, like what we've been doing, taking everybody to the side, everybody come in with us, and we can all go to the promised land together. I'm a big fan of Kumbaya, but
yeah,
is that something that we should be considering, or like, hey, maybe we should take Black issues more serious? Like we should really focus on reparations, whether you agree or not. I'm just saying that
that's a great example.
As an example, I mean, I do agree. I will say that, but I'm just saying as an example, should Black people be like, we need to get some stuff done for Black people?
I think that Black people should just start being great and stop worrying so much about the movement. And we're free when everybody's free. So let's not think about Black people getting forward. And let's all move forward as one. I know there's a lot of Black people right now. It's like, because they don't care about us and whoop-de-wop. Well, you get to choose who you want to be and what type of person you want to be. So do you want to be someone who's sitting there holding the door closed for somebody else just because they don't look like you? Do you want to be what the white man's been to you your whole life? No. You want to be the person that puts everybody up, and then everybody from there has even playing fields to work on. So if we're trying to make the world a better place, then we all need to come together and make that shit better with everybody, not just black people.
Absolutely.
And black people need to lift their bar for themselves, and they need to start operating in excellence more often, more consistently.
Amen.
Stop depending on these others. Okay?
Well, that brings up a good idea because we know in the movie they did a good job of showing how Fred Hampton went throughout different communities. He went through the Crown drug dealing gang. He went to
the Puerto Ricans.
Yeah. He also went to the lower class poor whites.
Yeah.
Who are waving Confederate flags. And I said, hold on.
Yeah.
You see this Confederate flag? What's going on?
This is not safe.
but do my research, they were saying that he was very strategic because he was a person of the people. He just knew that obviously he was black and that black people were the ones getting the end of the stick. But he knew that the FBI will also try to use these other groups to try to cause dissension so they will be stronger together than apart. So it goes right into what you were saying because that's revolutionary to have poor whites, blacks, Puerto Ricans, everybody in the same team. Exactly. Drug dealers. Like, we not about to fight. We about to get it done. About to get these kids fed. We about to do stuff to change the city. And he would, reference police as pigs. So so in that aspect, there is still some sort of violence, I guess, because they're hating the police. Yeah. Is that fair? Aren't there innocent police out there or innocent
from what I saw in the movie, they weren't attacking the police. The police came swinging, and then they actually just gave them back their energy. Yeah. But we don't know. Maybe they were attacking police. Maybe it happened a time or two. But at the same time, at this time, police officers, they were definitely putting down blacks by the buttloads, and we didn't have cameras, so there are so many we don't know about. Exactly. So when it comes down to violence, but you're talking to the wrong one because I would have been violence all day. I was on Malcolm X, not on Martin. Yeah. I was not speaking about no let's have peace. I would have been the one with the rifle, like we gonna put these motherfuckers down because they got us fucked up.
They got rifles, we got rifles too.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not for the peace. I'm for the violence. Because if we were violent, then we would be much further along. In reparations, we wouldn't need them because we'd own our property back. Because we kill the people that stole it in the first place. I'm just saying. Violence. Choose violence, folks.
Choose violence. That's how we got this country. It was violent.
It was very violent. Okay, white people don't do anything nicely. They don't say please.
They don't say that in the store. That's we'll do that on another podcast. But they do not like to say excuse me in the store.
No.
And I don't understand.
Oh my God. They would rather die.
They'd rather bump into the aisle and knock down a whole aisle of chips than say excuse me to you.
And T, she's black as fuck. She would literally stand there and be like, I'm just waiting on someone to say excuse me. Like, she'll put herself in the way. It's the craziest thing. I'm like, wow, reparations though.
But seriously, and it goes to your issue. Sorry, not your issue. Your idea about how literally there was violence first, and it's like black people. We can't be violent. We can't defend ourselves. We're just supposed to sit there and be like, good little helpless, like walk all over me. And I don't agree with that. And I do like the fact that they emphasize and that Warner Brothers was even willing to show a side of black people being aggressive. Yeah, like it's not a negative thing. Like, you have the right to be aggressive when you've been in a shootout. You have the right to be aggressive when you get pulled over for no reason. And
they were still, the Black Panther Party was so good at fighting back. That shit really was what it was, right? It wasn't just the police coming to shoot up a black person's place. It was like they was really going to war with these black people. Yeah. Like, the Black Panthers are on this corner. They stand their ground over here, so we got to come ready to shoot because we know these niggas ready to shoot. Like, it was a whole war type situation. It wasn't like police were just rolling up on them, not knowing that it was about to be problems. Yeah. Like, and now if the cops rolled up on you, it's not about to be a shootout. If they start shooting, well, we just did. Yeah. But they was really going over there to start war with the people. Like, it's like crossing country lines with guns. Like, all right, we know y'all got them, so we about to start shooting at y'all. Like, it was crazy what they were fighting through. That certain scenes in that movie, absolutely crazy.
And the sound. Kudos to the sound engineer. We all know sound makes a movie, but like I really feel like in certain scenes that I was like in the room. Yeah. Like, I don't want to get there too fast, but even the ending scene when everything goes off, like I feel like you feel like. Yeah. Like, even the camera angles, like how they're showing the police looking at you in the room. Yeah. You feel like
you're in the room too. We all sitting there in the dark. Yeah.
Which makes it hit you even more because you're like, this really was a 21-year-old boy. Yeah. He was drugged
Yeah.
And you have to see his pregnant girlfriend
protecting his
trying
body.
to protect his body, like, and her brother, like, like that is some
Yeah.
some new level type stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to imagine, and like I feel like they did such a good job showcasing that with through the directing and through the camera angles. So
yeah, you felt scared with them. That trauma really does translate.
like, you feel it in your bones. Like,
Hell yeah.
it was crazy. And so going in more instances, we're talking about Black liberation, talking about aggression toward the police, or not necessarily aggression, but standing your ground. Fred Hampton's life is like so indicative of that. Even being locked up and sent to jail for ludicrous charges, they couldn't get him because he wasn't a drug addict. They tried. But they end up getting him on stealing 70 pounds, quote unquote, of ice cream or icicle pops or bars, and they sentenced him for 5 years, and he didn't serve the full 5 years yet because he had got out on a bail appeal.
Yeah.
But then literally later on they found out the Supreme Court had approved the charges of him going to jail for 5 years for stealing ice cream.
Popsicles.
Supposedly stealing ice cream. They didn't have any evidence, but you can say what you want to. And again, there are no cameras. It's different time back then. Yeah. And it's just thinking like this man is still trying to fight for other people, even in the face of going to jail, even in the face of knowing his life is in danger.
Yeah. Well, he was 21. He was still young enough to be crazy. Yeah.
That is true, because
if he was any older.
Well, I also feel like he knew he was having a child, and he did love his girlfriend. He did love Deborah. But also we have to understand that I think it would have been different had his son been born, because we know his son, Fred Hampton Jr., is a prominent leader of Black Panther Party still. Yeah. But I wonder if he had been there, had he would have made those same decisions. I know that was something that was on Dr. Martin Luther King's mind, on Malcolm X's mind. And I'm not saying that they didn't love their wives. We know they did, but I'm saying is when you see your kids, though, the people you created, the people that are of your substance, having to deal with your ramifications of standing up, standing your ground. I wonder would he have changed his mind? Because again, he was really young, so it is different. It's a
would it change his mind about what? Being a revolutionary?
About being so revolutionary.
No. Certain people were born to do certain things, So regardless, that was when. However he was gonna die was gonna be how he was gonna die. He was born to do that. You know when there are certain people, when you hear their stories, you're like, they had no power in having to bring that to life. They just had to do it. They didn't know why it was on them. It was like a charge, like a responsibility that he was born with, where he was like, I'm going to move my people forward, because he was far too passionate to be somebody that was trying to figure out how he would move the people forward. He was always in action. He was always working on the next plan and reaching out to people and having hard conversations with other people who didn't agree with them. And you know what I mean? He was really bringing his community together. So this was something that he didn't have any control over. He was going to be this person. It's just a shame that our government is set up to slow progress down by killing people, by assassinating people, especially, at that time, that was how they did it. So, yeah, he was going to be whoever he was going to be. I don't think he had any control.
I think it's important that you said to our government, these are government agencies, because we know,
Martin, Malcolm, Fred, anybody worth having. Anybody who moved things forward,
the government's involved in putting down these people, and I think that's crazy. Yeah, it's insane. But I also want to talk about we were talking about. I want to say this wasn't Fred Hampton. He knew.
Was it Malcolm and Martin?
It wasn't. It wasn't Malcolm and Martin. I lost the thought. It's okay though. It'll come back to me.
All right. Well, what else you got?
Because it was about Black liberation. I remember now. Oh my goodness, it's about Bill O'Neill. Oh my gosh, yeah. I can't believe it, because that's what I wanted to. I've been trying to hold my feelings back, but I don't know why I stuck on my mind. But Bill O'Neill, the snitch. I don't know how else to say it. I feel like the movie did a good job portraying a fair point of view of everybody. I feel like obviously we know by the title Judas and Black Messiah that we knew that Bill O'Neill was Judas, exactly. Yeah. But I feel like the movie didn't give me a sense of I should feel sorry for him because he was he's a young criminal or whatever. But it also didn't give us a sense of he's he was trying to make something of himself. He wasn't a hero or a bad guy per se. I mean, he is the bad guy. We all get that. But I feel like They
did a great job showing a very vulnerable perspective.
Exactly.
First off, Lakeith Stanfield acted his ass off in that role. He really made me feel like, damn, I feel so. My heart goes out to you because you're just trying to survive, which is why you're still in cars in the first place. You're just trying to live and get money and see tomorrow and have a good time. And then he gets basically purchased by the government. Like, basically gets purchased so he can do the dirty work and everything. But they do a great job showing us how conflicted he was at every turn. Because in one sense, he was so proud of what Fred was doing. You could tell, like, he was like proud to be a part of something where this man was doing so much for the Black community. He was proud. He was proud to be a Panther. There are so many different scenes, like when he's rebuilding the shit, where he's like, obviously very proud to be a part of this movement for Black people. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, he's hired. He's purchased. He has an obligation to fulfill. And because he can be bought, because of obviously circumstance, whatever his childhood was like or whatever the case, since he was one of them niggas, one of them Kato niggas from underground, one of the white man's slave hands, is that what they call them? The other, the Black people that would get the other Black people in line.
And will whip them themselves?
There's always one in every Black story. There's always a Kato type that's ready to take down the organization of Black goodness for the sake of a little more food. There's always that person. You give a starving man something and he is going to keep showing up and asking for more. So Lakeith Stanfield playing Bill O'Neill was really doing a great job as a sellout agent because he was getting just enough money. He was eating steak dinners.
Yeah, I know. It always gets you with a steak dinner.
Got the little drink. He got his bib on. He was like, I'm living a good life. He's selling secrets that, and the thing about it is this secret life he enjoys. Exactly. He enjoys being a part of it. He's not only enjoying it, he's good at it. He's like a leader.
Like he belongs.
Yeah, he makes it up the ranks. Like he's really up there with Fred and everybody. Everybody knows Bill, Wild Bill. You know what I mean? Like, he's really happy to have this new life. Mm-hmm. And then he's also eating off of it. It's like he gets to go and pretend and then come back to someone and tell stories. But you can see the whole movie conflicted.
And I think they did a good job with that because when he first started, he started scared. Mm-hmm. But then as you see more and more meetings, he gets real comfortable. Mm-hmm. But then that last meeting, as he did with he's nervous again. Yeah. And I think that's crazy because it shows that people, when you do evil, there's no peace. No. There's no peace of evil. Despite your, your outcomes, he did have a hard, he probably had a hard childhood. Like so many people have, you still have to make a choice. And he still kept making that choice. Yeah. To betray. Yeah. Not just for him, but Black people. Yeah. Because when we think about...
Because literally, the fact that he was able to sell out, you didn't just sell out Fred.
Exactly.
You sold out all.
You sold yourself out.
Okay. Like, literally, you can't even have a family out here because he was making it better and more livable. Mm-hmm. And you sold yourself, your community, your Blacks, like, you
did it. Like Beyonce said, when you hurt me, you hurt yourself. Okay? And I really believe that because it's like, dang, like, you couldn't see the big picture. No. Because of the small, narrow focus. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that happens so often with so many revolutionaries. I mean, we see it with Jesus. I mean, God had it all orchestrated, but like you say, like Judas only saw that small picture, what can happen for him. Yeah. Like, and it's that small selfishness. And it's like, it's crazy how something so small can ruin such a huge movement.
Yeah. But but what's crazy about that whole thing is that even if he didn't assist in the drugging of Fred Hampton, right? Let's say that scene never happened. The way that the cops came to his house, could he have lived? Yeah. Could he have ever survived? They came in droves, shooting through the doors, closed.
Was 99 bullets?
Could have been 99 bullets. Could have been kids in there. Didn't matter. They came with one mission only, and that's how they felt about us at the time. Mm-hmm. And that's why, the whole Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter thing, it's such a funny conversation. Mm-hmm. Because, Black people could never walk up on a whole bunch of cops just shooting to kill. But they literally walked through these people's house at their doors, just shooting to kill anything in sight. Kids, women, all of that. We're here to kill it.
We go to talk about Breonna Taylor, and it happened recently.
Yeah, of course.
And still nothing comes of it. It's an accident.
Yeah. And move on, y'all. Blacks, move on. It's not a big deal. No, it is a big deal. Because that's why we're saying Black Lives Matter. You can't just keep walking up on us and shooting us and killing us. And then, when I see Blue Lives Matter stickers, I'm like, they don't get it. I can't even get mad anymore because I just say to myself, you don't get it. You don't understand that we're not saying that cops should die. You're not understanding that.
They should be held responsible.
That's all that we're saying. That there's a rule that you have to abide by. That you have to respect that. You can't just openly shoot fire. And if you're that scared, you shouldn't be wearing the blue.
But the thing that gets me is because it's the people, and I'm not trying to get off topic, but it's the people that always say like Blue Lives Matter, but they're talking about they're there for the Second Amendment. But you know you can't go shooting at the police.
Right.
So are you really for the Second Amendment? Because they're the ones taking the guns away.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm confused. But that's a whole nother argument. So do you want to be able to defend yourself against the state? Because the police work for not the people. State. They work for the state. We see that time and time again, regardless of whatever race you are.
Yeah.
They work for the state. Now we know who the state tend to hate and who they tend to come against the hardest, which are black people. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if you're not of the state, you're against the state. Period. And I mean, we shouldn't be looking at that because we're supposed to be in the land of the free. Right. Quote unquote. I'm doing big air quotes right now. But I just always, when I see that sticker, I just go, ooh.
I just feel like they just don't know. They're just a little ignorant, and maybe they just need someone to explain that Black Lives Matter does not mean you have to say Blue Lives Matter. That's actually like, you don't need to negate the statement. Mm-hmm. There doesn't need to be a conversation about it. One can be true without anything else being said. Like, Black Lives Matter doesn't make police lives not matter. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's life matters, but Black people are the ones that get murdered and no one gets any justice. So that's why the conversation matters. Mm-hmm. But either way, sorry, back on topic to the movie.
Oh no, we're doing just fine.
The Chicago PD killed Fred Hampton, and whether they drugged him or not, the way that they came into his space, they were going to win that. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter if the Black Panther Party shot back one round. People were shot. Are you kidding me? There were survivors that sued for $47 million and then won the case 12 years later for 1.47 or 1 point whatever million. That's insane. They needed that. Oh my gosh, how many things do we have to settle for like that? That's insane. The survivors you guys got they came in, started shooting at y'all, and then you sue them, rightfully so. Mm-hmm. And after 12 years of holding out on you, they decide that you can get 1.4 million between the 7 of you. Mm-hmm. Between 7 people. That's it. I'm just saying that's literally like $200,000 each. But not after lawyer fees.
Exactly, and your lawyer fees, how? Because you've been doing this for so long. Yeah.
Maybe $100,000 each.
Bullets.
It's crazy. I'm just saying. Not even 1,000 for every round shot. Like that.
No,
that's crazy.
And I mean, but this is the reality that Black people have lived through, and I'm glad it's being shown in a more and more. I mean, again, we know there are certain things that probably are like played up for movies. Mm-hmm. That's just a given. But I'm glad that they're doing it more and more. They're being more and more raw. Yeah. Like they're starting to be more and more truthful. And I feel like it's because Black people are getting a little bit more and more money to be able to put into these things. Because again, a movie has to have an audience. It has to make money. That's the only way somebody's gonna put something on the screen. Yeah. I love that. The art factor. I like seeing movies that are like, independent. I love seeing movies that have like, story. But for you to have a budget, for you to be able to get people paid, for you to be able to get people to start building generational wealth, you have to have an audience. And I feel like, to get somebody like Warner Brothers to do a movie, that is very, very different than what they're used to doing. Exactly. And to be very blatant about what the view is about, Black liberation, to be very, very, like pointed and like directed toward Black people. I feel like I think it's a major step in the right direction.
It is a step in the right direction, but let's not forget that when this movie came out, they let it play for 3 months, and then they completely took it off of HBO, and you couldn't see it anywhere.
See, I did not know that.
Yeah, and then it just came back for Black History Month. So it's like, this movie is completely heart-wrenching, obviously. And the thing about it, this is one thing I wanted to talk about with this movie. It's the fact that they shot him twice in the head, and the way that they kind of filmed that for us. So we really felt like, oh no, please don't do what we think you're about to do. And then we see her face, as he's getting shot. It's just such a crazy, heart-wrenching scene showing how savage they were back in that time. For them to just come in and just murder him. Oh,
even now, like the fact that a police officer can walk up and kill somebody, it's like have soul. Like
Right.
like
Right.
I can definitely understand it in the aspect of when you're defending yourself, you're getting shot at by somebody. That's completely different. But to assassinate somebody,
right, right,
somebody who's supposed to get due process, somebody who's supposed to have a trial, who's legally entitled to a trial,
yeah,
to just get assassinated.
Crazy, and they were coming in like thieves in the night to do it. Like, did you guys really need to poison them? That's all. Like, I'm back there again because that's crazy. The way they were gonna do it, anyways. But yeah, I don't know. That story was really hard to hear. It was a really hard one to watch. It was gut wrenching. It was educational. It was one of those things that really made you think, like, dang, all the times that Black people try to move forward, we were literally stopped. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And to this day, like it's always something.
Yeah.
And my hope is that whether you can agree with everything or not, like whether you agree with Black queer politics, whether you agree with Black pro-choice or pro-life agreements or disagreements. I think it's very important that we focus on not just our differences, but our similarities. Like the fact it all comes down to freedom. You should be able to be who you want to be, do what you want to do, as long as you're not hurting nobody else, or distracting somebody else from what they're doing. It's about freedom, and I feel like that has never really been truly given to us and to a lot of people. I mean, we can go get into a classist system, but
right.
It really has not been given to Black people, and I am hopeful for the day to where I feel like I can be really truly free.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We're still making strides. Social media is luckily here because it's a little bit more of an even judge, right? And now, since we have technology, we can actually better track these injustices against Black people.
Which is
good. We're making progress. We are definitely making progress.
And I do mean free because I know I'm gonna have some people saying, "What do you mean you're not free? You're not slave." I'm not saying I'm a slave. I'm not saying that I have people who harass me and like the KKK is coming to get me tonight.
Right.
I have had very racist incidents.
I've had very racist incidents too.
And being in fear and stuff as far as like white supremacy and things of that nature. But when I say free, I'm talking about to being able to see people really be who they are and not really live in fear. And there's a certain aspect you can do that in life today, and there's certain aspects I can do that. But I'm saying, I guess that idea, that ideal of that utopia, and maybe you might not ever see it here on Earth. This is the Christian coming out of me, but I feel like it's my goal, my duty to make it that way, the best way I can.
There is a level of that we need to be free interculturally before Black people can actually obtain freedom.
Oh wow!
So until we actually break down certain things within our society, like things that make niggas be like Cato, like be like Bill O'Neal. Until we break down those different hierarchies in our society, we won't be free from those things, because there's certain things that white people set up and they did against Black people, and then there's a certain hierarchy that Black people continue to instigate. White people don't have as much control as they once used to, but a lot of Black people are still using it as a crutch, and there's so many ways that we can be independent, so we can grow. We see Black billionaires every day. So I just don't understand why we are still using certain excuses. I want us to grow.
Well,
I get it though. There are certain things in place. We're not 100% free. I get it. But we definitely have more power than we think.
Exactly. And I think that also we can discuss that further on down the line too, as far as capitalism and socialism and communism and fascism and all these different isms that everybody tries to bring up, because I feel like the reason why a lot of Black people do get turned off, especially a lot of Black capitalists, because we do live in a capitalist system, we live in a consumer system,
right?
So it is easier for us to be able to be, I can make my money and not have to necessarily worry about everybody else.
Yeah.
But Fred Hampton was so opposed to that. He was like, no, I am the people. You know? And I feel like that comes to a very place of like being unselfish. It comes to a place of like having no pride, and just really being humble, and I don't see a lot of that. Right. From our
our leaders now.
Leaders today.
Yeah. Yeah, he really wanted to better the community. Everything. He was a true philanthropist. That's the best way to describe him. Like, he didn't need anything in return. He needed to give love and needed to give support and needed to build his community. That's all that he cared about. So, like, when you really think about it, we don't have a lot of great philanthropists now. We have some good leaders, some good spokespeople, but we don't have people now, leaders now, that really just want the world to be a better place. Because we have some powerful Black people now that could really change the world if they wanted to. But they're not that interested.
For real. And I was
and it's not their responsibility.
Exactly. It's up to you. And yeah. I was gonna make a joke about the Illuminati, but I'm not gonna do that. Because
Beyonce and Jay somewhere.
I was like, don't you dare say it. I will not. I will not take any Beyonce slander.
Okay.
But
you say that like you got a ticket.
I wish.
Okay. I just checking.
I can't afford the tickets just yet, but one day, B, I'm coming to see you.
Okay.
But I did want to end by doing a Fred Hampton quote, if that's okay with you.
Okay, let's see what you got.
I love quotes. So this one is obviously by Fred Hampton. He says, "We think you fight fire with water. We're not going to fight racism with racism. We're going to fight racism with solidarity."
Oh, yeah, that's a nice one.
That's
we
good,
all
right?
Together, yeah.
We all together. We're all in this.
Yeah, he had the right idea.
All right. And also, he will always say, "I am a revolutionary." So I want you to think about that. I am a revolutionary.